The movie opens with a hauntingly quiet image, a young woman named Allison, played by Aubrey Plaza, sitting alone on a wooden dock at the edge of a fog-covered lake. She stares into the misty water, her posture heavy with thought, before retreating to a nearby cabin. Inside, she sits quietly with a notepad, scribbling down ideas as if she's searching for inspiration. Part 1, The Bear in the Road. We then see Allison arriving at a rustic lakeside cabin that doubles as a bed and breakfast. The property is run by a couple, Gabe, Christopher Abbott, and Blair, Sarah Gadon. Blair is visibly pregnant with Gabe's child, and though they try to maintain a polite front, there's an immediate sense of tension between them. Allison introduces herself as a former actress who has shifted careers to filmmaking, explaining that she has come to the retreat-like setting to focus on her next project. After settling in, Allison takes a swim in the lake to clear her mind. From a distance, she notices Gabe watching her quietly, his gaze lingering a little longer than it should. Later that evening, she joins Gabe and Blair for dinner. What begins as small talk quickly reveals cracks in the couple's relationship. Gabe nitpicks Blair for having a glass of wine despite her pregnancy, while Blair subtly undermines him by reminding Allison that Gabe used to be a musician, stressing that his glory days are long behind him. As the dinner conversation shifts to heavier topics, feminism becomes a point of contention. Gabe bluntly dismisses the idea, while Allison, perhaps to stir the pot or perhaps to charm him, appears to side with him. Yet when she notices Blair's discomfort, Allison quickly backtracks, brushing it off as if it were only a joke. This exchange not only highlights the fragile dynamic between the couple but also introduces Allison as an unpredictable outsider whose presence is bound to stir up more conflict than comfort. After dinner, the three head back inside the cabin to unwind. The mood loosens slightly when Blair puts on some music, and she and Allison begin to dance together playfully in the living room. For a moment, the tension seems to ease, but when Gabe re-enters the room, the atmosphere shifts again. Blair turns the attention toward Allison by asking about her career and her film work. To Blair's surprise, Allison admits that she isn't sure she wants to continue making films and doubts whether she will ever create anything again. Her tone is detached, almost resigned, as though she's wrestling with her own sense of purpose. The conversation quickly drifts into deeper territory, circling back to the differences between men and women. Blair argues for equality, while Gabe takes on a more cynical and traditional stance, dismissing her views with sharp remarks. Allison listens quietly, occasionally chiming in, but her comments only seem to add fuel to the fire. At one point, she makes a remark that deeply offends Blair, though it's unclear whether she meant it sincerely or just wanted to provoke a reaction. Feeling the tension rise, Allison excuses herself and steps away from the conversation. From the next room, however, she overhears Gabe and Blair's voices escalating into a heated argument. Blair accuses Gabe of being drawn to Allison, of wanting her in a way that is impossible to ignore. Gabe doesn't outright deny it, and the weight of Blair's accusations hangs heavy in the air. The shouting intensifies, exposing the raw fractures in their relationship. Alone in the hallway, Allison quietly listens to every word, her face unreadable, as though she's simultaneously disturbed and intrigued by the chaos she has unintentionally, or perhaps intentionally, helped ignite. Later that night, after Blair has fallen asleep, Gabe quietly leaves the bedroom and seeks out Allison, inviting her for a swim in the cold, dark waters of the lake. The night air is heavy and still, the fog rolling over the surface of the water, creating an almost dreamlike, tense atmosphere. As they swim, their conversation grows intimate, blending casual remarks with underlying tension. Without warning, the moment turns physical, they share a kiss that quickly escalates into a sexual encounter. Their secret encounter, however, does not remain hidden for long. Blair awakens unexpectedly and walks in on them, her expression a mixture of shock, fury, and heartbreak. She immediately orders Allison out of the cabin, leaving Gabe and Blair alone in a storm of raw emotion. The argument between them intensifies, revealing not just jealousy but deeper, unresolved resentments. In a moment of rage, Gabe shoves Blair against the couch. The force of the blow causes visible injury, and when Blair notices blood, the situation takes a frightening turn. Desperate to control the chaos, Gabe commands Allison to get his car, insisting that she drive them to the hospital. The night has grown darker and eerily quiet, the lake and cabin now shrouded in an unsettling stillness. As Allison drives, nerves and tension gripping her, a massive bear suddenly appears on the road. Startled and unable to avoid it, she swerves violently, and the car crashes into a nearby tree with a loud, shattering impact. The serene night has transformed into a scene of panic and danger, leaving all three characters at the mercy of circumstance, with their relationships, and perhaps their lives, hanging in the balance. Part 2, The Bear by the Boathouse. As the narrative shifts, it becomes clear that the previous events may not have been entirely real, or at least, they are now part of a constructed reality. Everything around Allison, Blair, and Gabe now appears as if it's taking place on a film set. Gabe assumes the role of the director, orchestrating each scene with exacting control, while Allison and Blair are cast as actors within this film within a film. In this scenario, Allison is depicted as Gabe's wife, yet Gabe carries on an open affair with Blair, adding layers of tension and personal betrayal to their interactions. The dynamic is intensely charged, with Gabe treating Allison with shocking rudeness and dismissiveness in front of the entire crew, publicly humiliating her and asserting dominance. Allison, caught between her professional obligations and the personal emotional turmoil, maintains a controlled exterior, but her discomfort and inner conflict are palpable. Blair, on the other hand, seems both complicit and detached, moving between her role as an actor and her entanglement in Gabe's manipulations. The environment itself, the boathouse, the crew, the cameras, creates a surreal overlay on the tension, blurring the line between performance and reality. This part of the story introduces a disorienting, almost meta layer to the narrative, making it difficult to discern where the film ends and real life begins, while exposing the fragility of relationships under scrutiny and the manipulations of those in positions of power. Later that night, the film crew prepares to shoot a scene inside the cabin. Allison is visibly unsettled, weighed down by Gabe's blatant infidelity and the mounting stress of working under his harsh direction. The tension pushes her toward the bottle, and she begins drinking heavily, trying to numb both her frustration and her humiliation. As her inebriation deepens, Allison's behavior becomes increasingly erratic. The assistant director, Kaya, Paola Lazzaro, discovers her in a precarious state, half-naked, intoxicated, and in the company of another crew member, Nora, Jennifer Kim. Concerned, Kaya and Nora quickly intervene, helping Allison regain her footing and coaxing her to prepare for the upcoming scene. Their actions are urgent yet cautious, knowing that Allison's instability could jeopardize the shoot. Outside, the atmosphere is thick with foreboding. Amid the dim lights and shadows cast by the cabin, a familiar growl pierces the night air. The same bear from earlier lurks nearby, its presence both ominous and surreal, serving as a chilling reminder of the chaos already set in motion. The growl underscores the precariousness of Allison's situation, blending the lines between her personal turmoil, the escalating drama on set, and the lurking, untamed danger outside. As the crew prepares to film, Gabe immediately notices Allison's heavy intoxication. What follows is a tense, quiet confrontation between the two, unfolding in front of the crew. Though their voices are low, the argument is laden with unspoken hostility, and the crew can sense the underlying friction. The scene they are about to shoot is billed as the most important scene in the film, and the stakes are high. During filming, emotions spiral out of control. In a moment of raw intensity, Allison strikes Blair on camera, breaking the professional boundaries of the shoot. Crew members quickly intervene to separate the two women, but the incident leaves everyone on edge. Shaken and needing space, Allison retreats to another room to regain her composure. Seeking comfort and someone she can trust, Allison asks Gabe to fetch the cameraman, Baco, Grantham Coleman. Baco approaches her gently, providing reassurance and a calm presence in the midst of chaos. Their interaction grows unexpectedly intimate, culminating in a brief, impulsive kiss. Though the moment is fleeting, it reinforces Allison's vulnerability and emotional volatility. With Baco's guidance, Allison gathers herself and is eventually brought back to continue the scene, her composure fragile but enough to face the unfolding drama. The scene is reshot, this time under Gabe's firm direction. He explicitly instructs Allison not to strike Blair, attempting to maintain some control over the escalating chaos. Despite the boundary, the performance is emotionally raw, and Allison's composure begins to crumble. Even after the cameras stop rolling, she continues to sob uncontrollably, her vulnerability laid bare for anyone paying attention. Sensing her distress, Gabe takes Allison aside to a quieter room. There, he offers comfort, speaking to her with a mixture of authority and intimacy that blurs the lines between professional and personal. The moment deepens quickly, they kiss, their connection charged with both tension and longing, and eventually lie down together. In a quiet, almost fragile voice, Allison calls him Bear, a nickname that carries layers of intimacy and dependence. Overwhelmed by guilt and self-reproach, Allison admits that she feels inadequate, confessing that it makes sense to her that Gabe would love Blair more. The confession reveals her inner turmoil, her desire for validation entangled with the shame of her perceived shortcomings. This moment not only underscores the complexity of her emotional state but also amplifies the morally ambiguous, psychologically intense dynamics between Allison and Gabe. After the chaos of filming, Gabe leaves Allison to rest, while the rest of the crew celebrates the completion of production. their laughter and chatter filling the cabin. Gabe, however, seeks out Blair and slips away with her for a private swim. Later, they retreat to an intimate moment together, their affair continuing even as Allison is left on the sidelines. Alone, Allison witnesses them in the room, a mixture of hurt and resignation crossing her face. It is then that the bear from earlier emerges, appearing silently behind her. Unlike before, Allison does not panic. Instead, she turns toward the creature with an eerie calm, as if accepting something inevitable or confronting a truth she has long avoided. The presence of the bear blurs the line between reality and symbolism, leaving a haunting impression of the tensions and betrayals that have defined the story. The film then circles back to its opening image, Allison, once again alone by the fog-laden lake. She returns to the cabin, empty and silent, and opens her notebook. With deliberate, almost ritualistic intent, she writes the words "Black Bear" before looking up, directly at the viewer. The gaze is steady, reflective, and enigmatic, suggesting both closure and unresolved tension. The story ends on this haunting, introspective note, leaving viewers to wrestle with the interplay of desire, jealousy, and the blurred boundaries between art and life.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.